Warning, this podcast contains the National Guard.
And fuck those guys.
No. I fully support the National Guard. And
they
all
have
of our
bigger
troops.
guns than you.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Containment, Season 1 and only, Episode 7, Inferno. I'm your host, Dom. With me is Mike and Nikki. How's it going?
Hi.
You're right, they do have bigger guns than me.
Mm-hmm.
These guns these guns.
I think to clarify what you were saying is fuck the National Guard on this show.
Yes.
Yes, not in general.
Okay.
Or the real National
I want to make
Guard.
that clear.
But to be honest, they had to take action like this because this is more than just your run-of-the-mill cold.
I mean, really, what did they do that was bad this episode? They added an extra 100-yard buffer to the containment, the quarantine to the Cordon. Like, that's, I think, necessary. That should have been done from the start.
Mm-hmm.
They set up
buffer
6 different shelters to help people outside of the Cordon.
They're not very good shelters, to be fair, though.
No,
like,
but to be
shitty.
set up in short notice like this, like
it's
they
better than
literally,
nothing.
Yeah, they literally
it
came
is
in.
better than nothing.
All these people that got trapped outside of their homes, that can't get into their homes, that have nowhere to go. Like they at least have something for them, And then like Lex tries to break into the Cordon and they arrest him. Like that seems fair. Like
the rule was no one in, no one out. Lex, what did you fucking expect?
Mm-hmm.
And he thought he was being sneaky about it. No.
I mean, does he not remember what happened with
Xander?
Xander, yeah.
He got shot. The kid got shot with rubber bullets.
Yeah. I would have
Ouch.
loved for Xander to be like on the other side of the fence laughing at him during that scene.
I don't think he would have.
No, he wouldn't have, but it was just like, it would have been a nice moment for me. Not for Xander, not for Lex, for me. Just me.
Yeah.
Just to be like, now you're trying to get in.
It's just because of Jonna, though. Like, she really freaked him out with that phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, I was cringing the whole time watching. Actually, I cringed pretty much through the whole show now.
You've cringed pretty much through this whole season from what I've heard.
Just more in the very beginning, I was relaxed. I was like, I know what I'm expecting, and then it just got to me, and I was like, the anxiety kicks in, and as soon as I start watching, I'm constantly like, my hands are either in fists or like grabbed onto my chair or something. Like there's like no blood rushing to my hands because they're clasped so hard to something or each other or something, because I can't handle the stress and the drama.
This was a really anxiety-inducing episode.
Yeah.
It was.
More so, I mean, there have been a couple of cringe moments, sure, but this episode was just full on. Like, I'm sitting there exactly like she said, just like...
Yeah.
It's intense. Like, now it's getting super intense, and that's because it's leading up to the 13th day, which we saw a bit of.
We're on day 9 right now, so yeah, we're
day
not
9.
too far.
There's only 4 days away. 4 days.
Night 9. But yeah.
4 days away till 4 days until the crazy chaos it opened with.
4 days on the show, not episodes. 4 days on the show from what we see at the very first episode with the 13th day, that flash forward. We're really getting close to that, and it's really amping up, and that's what I mean. Like, it's super intense. I'm anxiety ridden every time I'm watching it. I'm just cringing all the time because it's not even just like the proximity of the infected to the non-infected. It's just the situations that they're in. Like, I don't know how I would have handled being in that building and people trying to break in like they were.
Yeah, I mean, it started off, you had the gang member holding Leanne at gunpoint, threatening for the phone or she's going to kill him, and then he even tried to get away with taking Xander and Teresa back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like, no, you're getting the phone, and that's it. And he's like, yeah, well, try to stop me. And, if it wasn't for the fact that Lex had given that drive to Jake, he wouldn't have shown up when he did.
Yeah.
So it was all fucking perfect timing on his part.
Was super lucky. And I know that they had made it clear, like I think it was in either first or the second episode that Jana and Jake had dated, and you were super surprised that
I
because it
was.
came up in conversation. I'm like, no, they said this. This
I
came up.
completely forgot about it.
Yeah, came up in episode 1 at some point.
So it was nice to see her like egging him on, asking about Katie, and he's just like, dude, no, you're that person. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. Tell me.
Tell me these things.
Yeah, and then you have like Jake confessing his love for Katie to Jana,
Yeah.
and you had Jana be like, "No, you're gonna go tell her exactly how you feel. I missed my shot with Lex." He's like, "No, no, you didn't.
No, you
You're gonna
didn't.
get your
Lex
chance." Yeah.
Lex is still like completely he wanted to he risked his life.
Well, she doesn't know
Tried
that.
I know, but like
He didn't only
she's
risk his life; he risked his job.
well, I mean,
We
life
don't know
becomes
the standing of his job right now after trying to break in there.
well, his
right?
job was already kind of on like a fine line before that. Because the reason why the guard came in is because he fucked up the food drop, which he didn't.
Right.
It was Sabine and her optimistic bullshit that she thinks she is fucking God.
She
When
is.
they do, every time I hear the opening to the show and her voice comes across, I'm just like,
Would you still have such hate and resentment for her if she wasn't on the originals prior to this?
He didn't
Yes.
even know that it was her.
I hated her before I realized, oh wait, shit, she played Dahlia. Wow, I still hate you.
Exactly. I
Phenomenal.
didn't realize it was Dahlia until two episodes in. So like the hate that Sabine had, like the character, it was because of the character, not because of the actress playing
Gotcha.
a villain in another show.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we have Teresa getting into like false labor pain. She knows it's not labor, but she's pregnancy related pains. And that's when Jenna like hooks her up with a clean suit, puts her into the room and all that, and then you have Xander and Leanne fucking arguing in front of Teresa, even though it's kind of like in a corner. And Xander pulls her out of the room, and he's like, "Look, you need to stop arguing. We need to stop arguing. We have to pull our shit together, and at least act decent in front of Teresa because it's stressing her out. She's gonna have the baby. The last thing she needs is for us to start fighting." And surprisingly, Leanne is actually like, "You know what? You're right." And I went, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, that kind of
I
hit me.
paused
I'm
the
like,
show and I went, "What?"
Well, I mean,
she just got
if they
told.
were in a situation where this shit wasn't going on, Leanne would have not backed down. She would be like, "No, I know the best, and this is what's happening." She just about died. She had a gun to her head this episode. I think she's coming to realization that she isn't the one that's in control, and she needs to step back.
Mm.
And Xander actually, being legit logical about the situation, probably really set her straight.
Yeah. Yep. It was just kind of crazy. And then, the added stress on top of it is you have the motocross gang, like, huffing up on the drugs. They're all high on drugs. They're trying to break in. And like you mentioned before, they're coming in through the floors. They're coming in through, the
ventilation.
The ventilation, the floors in the ventilation, but they're coming in the stairwells and, like, all this stuff. And Jake ends up killing 2 people in the stairwell.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
What? Jana's like sitting there with a makeshift flamethrower shooting at him through the ventilation.
She smashed one's face in with the phone that she was talking on.
Jana is badass. I would not fuck with her.
No, Jana is the most awesome character on the show. She's not only is she smart, she's street smart, which she's book smart, street smart, and she somehow knows some sort of kung fu. Like, seriously, she's just like, what?
Just don't fuck with people who work in engineering or tech-related jobs working with their hands who are also very intelligent and have a lot of spare parts laying around.
Mm-hmm. See, Jenna's like me. If anybody that's ever gotten into a fight with me is watching this podcast, they can attest that I'm like Jenna. I don't fight fair. Like, because to me, If you're fighting, you're fighting. Like, you're not fighting to play. It's not a joke. If you're fighting to win at any cost. It doesn't matter. So I will take anything that is around me and use it as a weapon. It does not matter. Like, because I don't play fight.
Fighting to win and fighting for your life are two different things.
That's what I mean. That's
that's what she was doing.
That's what I mean. I'm not like play fighting. I stress the point that I don't play fight.
Stuff, yeah.
So when I mean win, that is for my life. That's how I look at fighting.
Dom is not the pinnacle of Queensberry rules.
No.
Pocket sand.
No, I will take a Bic pen and stab it in your eye, your throat. It doesn't matter. Like, you do not want to fight with me. So I can feel for Jana. Like, she will use anything around her. And yeah, it's so badass to watch.
If you have the chemicals that they want, why not give it to them? But then blow them up while they're trying to huff it.
Well, that's
at
exactly
the same time.
what they did.
I know.
But
like, why not? The opportunity's there. Take it.
But the stress before that, like, they cut the power, and you have Susie caught in between the doors when she's just trying to get some food for Teresa, and it's just like, and you see like the elevator doors opening, and they're like prying the doors open. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on?
The problem with Susie was not only was she confined into a small space and she's claustrophobic, but there's limited air in there.
Right.
So if they wouldn't have got her out, she would have ran out of air and suffocated. So I mean, yeah, she would have been fine if it was like there was air coming in. She's got all the food. She'd been like, but. I mean, she's claustrophobic, so she's anxious, so she's hyperventilating, and then there's limited air, so she's using it up faster, and it's just like, that situation actually got me anxious, too, because I'm not claustrophobic or anything, but the thought of suffocating from the lack of air, that's what frightens me.
Yeah. That whole situation is just, it was awful. It was so, like, entertaining. I don't mean, like in a good way, but like
it was thrilling.
Yeah, I mean it was a spectacle to watch. It was
attention grabbing.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was done very phenomenal. But like most of the episode revolved around that, and I think that was great because usually we're cutting all over the place, and we did a little cutting back and forth between Lex and whatever, but everything that we cut to inside the Cordon was in this building or around this building or, you know, Jana or one of these characters.
We didn't see Katie at all.
No, we didn't
this
go
episode,
to the hospital.
At all. Which was actually a relief for me because I was seeing too much of her. Like, yeah, she seems like an okay person, but like she just really like pulls on my like patience. Like I just can't. I would probably scratch her eyes out.
Well, Leanne was like telling Katie, "You're pregnant. You got to go to the hospital. Like you have to go to the hospital." And she's like, "No, that's where people are going and dying. Like I'm not going anywhere near the hospital." And I'm like,
Xander said
really
that
smart.
That's where people go to get sick.
Yeah.
At this point, yes, that's exactly what's happening. People are going there and getting sick.
Yep. I mean, unless I had, you know, the sick juices coming out of my eyes and nose and mouth and all that, like everybody else on the show, that would be the only way I'd go to the hospital. Because if there happened to be some kind of treatment that they just came out with or whatever, I'd want to be there. You know, I'm not going to be, like, wandering around the street where I know I'm going to die. Like, probably going to die anyway, so go to the hospital. Like, you know, I don't know. But, you know, then we run into Leanne getting bit by one of the people.
Ugh.
You know, and we're like, is she infected? Because we know some of them are infected, not all of them. Some of them are just high on drugs.
Like, because... And I wanted to bring up that this all reminded me of, like, a zombie outbreak kind of thing, because you got these crazy guys, like, high off whatever the fuck they can find and desperate for more, clawing through the, you know, prying open the doors, crawling through the vents, doing all that crazy shit. And I'm like, am I watching one of the more modern Day of the Dead movies? Like, is that what's going on here?
It reminded me of I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even then.
Yeah, like that's what that movie makes me cringe too. But they're not zombies, but they are infected and they lose their sense of humanity, and then they're very aggressive.
So that's
the sense that it gave me.
Which was the movie that was in the mall? Was it the Dawn of the Dead remake or whatever? Where they were the zombies ran.
No, that was Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead?
No, the remake of Dawn of the Dead was when they went to the mall, and
it was the one that had Richard Cheese. down with the sickness in the middle of the
And
show.
and
I
Ving
don't-
Rhames.
I don't remember them running in the
They,
very first one. It was the second one. I couldn't even watch 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the
Yeah,
remake of Dawn of the Dead.
It was the remake Dawn of the Dead.
Okay. That just shows you how much I pay attention and how much I'm actually closing my eyes and plugging my ears when I watch shows like that.
then-
So
Yeah.
I mean, straight up reminds me of any kind of zombie movie where the zombies are running and crawling
Right.
through trying to get to people, and then one of them bites her. Like, really? Like, how fucked up on whatever the hell you were huffing are you right now?
Pretty
a
fucked
lot.
up.
Pretty fucked up because
And even if they're not on anything at the moment, they're coming off of or having withdrawals, which could be just as worse, if not worse.
Now, see, she has to assume she's infected now because
Well, yeah, that's why she's self-quarantining herself.
because even if this guy wasn't showing symptoms, he's been around people who are,
Right.
and they're so high out of their gourds that they're probably not keeping 4 to 6 feet apart.
I mean, she's convinced that, Teresa's more convinced that she's not infected, and she's like, well, I'm going to quarantine myself, and, whatever, that'll be that, and I'll come back and see you guys if I'm not. I think she's going to end up being infected.
I think if she isn't, she's going to wind up dying from a secondary infection.
yeah, that's she needs. See, this is the point where she might not be infected, but because of her bite, she needs to go to the doctor because she is probably infected with some crazy bacteria now.
This is something that a lot of, in the modern world, you don't really hear about much, but human bites are actually really deadly, or can be if untreated.
Yeah.
It's something that, a lot of people gloss over because who goes around biting people? I mean, you're more likely to get bit by an animal, but I
I
mean,
might have to start doing that.
if someone really wants to injure you with their teeth, they can, and then if you don't treat it,
Is it true or is it a myth that you can bite a finger off as easily as a carrot?
it's true.
Don't.
The human there's a whole system in place, like your higher brain function prevents you from doing that because your brain understands you might hurt yourself.
Right.
Like it's more to preserve yourself than the other person. That's why in all these zombie movies and everything, the brain, their zombified brain just wants to eat. There's no higher brain
Right.
function in there to protect them. So that's why zombies seem super
you can
strong.
bite through the bone, though?
Oh yeah, clean through. If a person were to exert all of their bite force without any
I
of
don't
the
mean
brain's
all of their. I
mechanisms,
mean literally bite carrots. Like if you took a string of carrots and you're like carrot, you put your eyes are closed and you're like bite, 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 and 4 in a row are carrots, and the 5th one you're just bite is a human finger. You would be able to bite that off as easily as you bit the carrots.
it is unlikely that you're going to be able to exert your full bite force because doing that can damage your teeth. And that whole higher brain function in there, you can't consciously do it.
Okay, so it is partially a myth because you can't bite it as easily as a carrot, but you can actually still bite it off.
If you're completely high as a kite, you can,
Well,
yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as easily
I know,
as a
but
carrot.
I'm saying
So
you're
So
a human being.
Without
So it
your
is
brain
partially true.
limitations, you
Yeah,
can.
okay, yeah, it's partially true. To answer your question, yes, a human being is capable of biting off theirs or another human's finger.
okay, but not as easily as a carrot.
Not as easily
Okay,
as
got it. So
I can imagine
Yeah.
though the actual biting of the carrot and biting through a finger actually kind of feels the same, like the same kind of snap that you would hear or feel. I can imagine that's exactly that was going through my mind when you first mentioned it. I was like, I imagined myself eating a carrot because I've done that before. I eat carrots, okay, and then you're like finger, and then I'm like, oh god, that's terrible. I don't even want to.
Okay.
I'm not gonna look at eating carrots the same way now.
No.
no, I don't have to worry about it.
You don't like carrots.
But no, that's very true. But on the same kind of note like that, not the carrots or the sound or anything, but if you've ever seen the movie with James Franco, I think it's 127 Hours, where he's trapped hiking
And he saws his arm off.
Yeah, he cuts his arm off and he does it with a dull pocket knife. When he cuts through his tendons.
Yeah,
It makes this
swoops in.
twanging kind of noise on the screen that makes me cringe.
Because
So
that's like very, very, very accurate.
it makes
Uh-huh.
me
Very.
feel like it would, like a nerve would feel. Like if you've ever had like a nerve spasm or something, it's got that like internal feeling. Not, it doesn't make that noise obviously, but you
Now you
associate that
feel the
noise.
twinge and
Yeah,
you feel, yeah, it. I understand.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
ugh. But yeah, I
tendons
mean
are
that's gonna be
kind of under
super.
tension, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be super creepy though to get bit by some guy high on drugs and not know. If she's self quarantining herself and she's not, is she going to the hospital?
I I assume that was one of the plans.
Because
Like
she
she was
made
either
such a
gonna
big deal
take.
out of Teresa going. Like, if she doesn't go herself, like, she's more than a hypocrite.
Oh, she's.
Hmm.
We already know that she's a super hypocrite.
We're perfectly aware
That's
of
why I
that.
said she's more than a hypocrite. So,
She's a super mega hypocrite.
yeah.
Okay.
Biatch.
Go on.
But, yeah. I don't know. And then Jana recovers the drive. She can't believe that Lex actually broke the rules to get the drive.
Like,
She's aware of the situation inside, and she kind of gets the idea of how it is on the outside. And I don't know why it is such a surprise that him being the way he is, how morally, like his moral compass is like, for the people, why he wouldn't go to those actions to try and fix the situation.
very true.
Like, I don't know why she's so surprised about that.
Because he seems like a goody goody by the books kind of guy. Like, you see the dilemma that, like, with Xander. Like, Xander was trying to get in for good reason, right? And me personally, if I was in charge of the line at the Cordon, I wouldn't care if people wanted to go in and die. Like, he wants to go in for good reason, right? He's not just going in because he wants to be infected. He's not going in to die. He's going in for his pregnant girlfriend. Like, that seemed like a good reason. I would let somebody like that in. I'm obviously not going to let people out.
The thing is that
But
they're trying to keep the inside
yeah, no, I
contained. They
get
don't
that.
want any more bodies in there
I get
because,
that.
they're trying to support the inside as much as they can. So by letting people in, that adds another mouth to feed,
No, I get
another
that.
person to keep an eye on. And once one person goes in, another person goes in, another person
Hmm.
goes in, another person goes in. So you can't just let them in. It kind of has to happen like it did.
Yeah, I don't know. See, me personally, I would have taken all these shipping containers instead of building a perimeter around it. I would have built isolation rooms for every single person in the thing. Maybe they wouldn't have all fit in at once. Maybe they had to take turns and put them into 48-hour quarantines. And if they make it through, they come out. They're no longer in the cordon.
Hmm.
That's how I would handle that. Then you know who's sick, who's not. You narrow it down.
But then we
That gets
come down
handled
to the whole
much faster.
maybe somebody's a carrier thing. They don't show symptoms. It's not they'd have to have like even sometimes carriers don't even it doesn't even show up in their blood tests or tissues or anything. They just carry it.
Yeah.
It's part of their genes and things like that. So like sure, they can last the 48 hours in their little containments and, be released, but then they get outside the cordon and they're passing around the virus without even knowing because
Yeah.
so they have to do what they're doing right now. They can't let anyone out. There's
Right.
always that chance that someone can only be carrying the disease.
Oh, but speaking of which, we saw and heard nothing from Thomas this episode or any of the happenings with Thomas.
No.
So this, and you may have not forgotten about Thomas. This episode was a really good distraction from that.
This episode, I did forget about Thomas. Now that you mentioned him, I realized, oh yeah, Thomas, I remember him.
Yeah.
Thomas.
We just found out last episode that Thomas is potentially completely immune.
Mhm.
Right? And then we go and have this episode, which is just like fucking all hell is breaking loose, and it's a very welcome distraction from what's going on with the virus itself, because this really didn't deal with the virus. This dealt with survival.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, it was a phenomenal episode.
I
It
mean,
was a great episode, and I'm like hearing that this is going to be the final season.
the only
Like
season.
it was the only season. It actually makes me sad because if they keep this up, it's kind of like it would be easy competition with The Walking Dead.
Maybe. I'm actually really happy that this is its only season.
True.
Because how many
True.
shows go through and have a whole bunch of seasons, and you're just like, will this show just end already? You know
what?
like, but you
That's
want to
true.
stick through it because you've watched it for so long and you want to ride it out and see it to the end. If you go out one season that's fucking phenomenal and it's never been like, can this show just end already? And you like, Nikki, I know for a fact, I don't know if Mike's gone around to watching it, but I know you've watched The River. Mike, did you watch The River?
I watched most of The River. I missed the last 2 episodes.
Okay, there's only like 6 episodes of The River, something short like that.
Yeah, it's...
And
I was watching it with her.
I was very disappointed when I heard the show was not canceled, but the way that show ended, I was very happy with the ending for a series finale.
It was a great ending.
I think if that show continued on, that it would have gotten to that point where you're just like, okay, season 1 was really good, but the show's kind of run its course now, because I don't see them being able to top what they did in that first season. Containment, I think, is very much the same way. What are they going to do? Like, okay, the virus is cured, or the virus outbreak is over here. Oh, it's going to launch in another city? Like, or, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be the same thing over again in a different location.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm comparing it to, like, Fear the Walking Dead, where it's the beginning of the outbreak. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, Fear the Walking Dead, you know, there's a big gap, but it leads into The Walking Dead. So I feel like something along that line can be done with Containment, because it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's because I've watched Helix and it's along the same lines with outbreaks and mutated viruses and stuff. It's way out of this world, though. It's like almost sci-fi kind of bullcrap. But
there's a prequel to Fear the Walking Dead. Did you know that? It's called Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, right? Fuck.
So, but yeah. Anyway.
You were mentioning The River, and yes, it ended very, very nicely. Like, it was a great ending, but I still wanted more.
Yeah. I don't know, like, another show I could think of kind of in that lines, but went for 2 seasons. Mike, have you gotten a chance to watch Stargate Universe yet?
You know, I watched the first couple episodes, and I just never finished it.
Yeah. It's one of those shows that it had a really, really slow start, but by the time that, like, steamrolled, it wasn't until, like, halfway through season 2. And I got really, really, really excited for the show, and then, like, 3 episodes before it ended, they announced it was being canceled, or maybe it was more that, you know, they knew in advance or whatever, but they didn't announce it publicly until, like, 3 or 4 episodes before the ending, and things were so intense, and I was just like, oh my god, and then I was so upset. And then they ended it, but they ended it in a way that if they want to pick it up even, like, 15 years from now, they can, and it would be phenomenal. So, just because this show right now is billed as its one and only season, does not mean in 3-4 years they won't pick it back up and do a continuation of it. They can always do things like that.
And if you can't get enough of this kind of stuff that's going on in Containment, there's always the version that it's based off of, the UK version.
Yeah.
Cordon. Right. That's what it's called.
That's going into its second season right now.
It's going into its second season right now.
Yeah.
So you could always watch that. It might be a completely different feeling and obviously not the same cast, but it's based off the same thing going on. So.
Yeah. Anyway, next episode we have a 1-week break. So coming up this week there is no episode, but following week the episode is called "There's a Crack in Everything." With a blueprint for the cure, Dr. Canners makes a major breakthrough that brings him one step closer to finding a cure for the virus. Meanwhile, after monitoring hospital surveillance from the day of the outbreak, Katie and Jake unravel the truth behind patient 0. Elsewhere, Jana and Susie move forward with a plan to escape the Cordon using the city's underground tunnel system. Finally, a risky operation to extract a potential antidote from the Cordon takes an unexpected turn.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just getting... you know what? It's going to get to the point where I'm not going to be able to watch it without, like, tying myself to a chair and using, like, toothpicks to hold my eyes open, because I'm just going to be, like, curled up in a ball crying.
Yeah. I think what's going to be interesting is, just, for me, the underground tunnel system. If it's more than just, like, a sewer kind of system. Because I don't know what's actually below Georgia or anything like that.
Yeah,
Not as much as not as much as below New York City.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like if they were to do this in New York, and like we've compared this to the Division, before, you see the way the Division is quarantine off, and the quarantine zone is in the dead center. Mm-hmm. It's like Central Park through Times Square, ish, down that way. But if, like, say the entire island of Manhattan was quarantined off, that's not gonna work, because they'll shut the bridges down or whatever, but there's water, there's all kinds of other escape things. But in the center, of New York
there's like a spider web of subway systems.
It's not only the subway systems. Under the subway systems are older subway systems, and abandoned railroad tracks, and all kinds of
subway
things.
tunnels, abandoned utility tunnels, abandoned waterways and aqueducts.
Yeah.
There are maintenance tunnels, 2 maintenance tunnels, 4 old subway tunnels that have a maintenance tunnel that lead to a new subway tunnel. So there are tunnels in tunnels.
Yeah.
Underneath. So quarantining the entire island of Manhattan, in my opinion, would be easier than quarantining a section of Manhattan, because I don't even know if, to be perfectly honest, even going through all the records at City Hall and everything, I don't even know if they have maps of every tunnel.
I'm sure they have maps for the majority. Maybe not every single tunnel, but 90+%.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to think about it. It sounds like please.
There are a lot.
Let me be far, far away from New York. If there's ever an outbreak of any kind, I want to be far, far away. I'd be living up in the mountains back in Canada, because screw that shit.
Wasn't there, what was that special that was on, it was like the History Channel. It was like, it wasn't just New York, but they showed like underground cities in Paris and like all kinds of places, stuff like that. New York was featured on one of those episodes, and
I know what you're talking about.
If you've had the chance, go back and watch that, because it's just phenomenal to think about. I don't think there's anything crazy like that under Atlanta, because Atlanta is so close to sea level, you can't really go down too much. But who knows?
Atlanta is landlocked in the middle of Georgia.
Yeah, but it's very low surface level.
And what about Manhattan? Manhattan is at sea level.
Manhattan is...
there's a couple of blocks that are technically below sea level.
Are they? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I think Atlanta is higher up on the
elevation scale
than New York.
I don't know. Maybe.
Finding it.
Yeah.
1,050 feet is the elevation of Atlanta, Georgia.
And what's the elevation of New York?
0.
Here, hold on. Google's going to tell me I'm an asshole. 33 feet is the average elevation of New York City.
Oh.
Huh.
So Atlanta is higher?
Yes, by a full 1,017 feet.
I'm actually really curious. Where I'm from, what's the elevation of that?
I actually know this. I believe it's 4,100 feet.
Okay.
Oh, my ears just pop thinking about that. So, yeah, okay. I guess Atlanta is higher than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're still in danger if we ever have a major flood.
3,000 feet. Sorry, not 4,100. It's 3,100. But still.
We're just Googling the crap out of everything right now because we're all super duper curious.
Yeah, apparently there are a bunch of urban spelunking underground tunnels that they actually do tours of in Atlanta. So,
okay.
That actually seems kind of interesting to me. We'll have to see. We'll see how that goes, because you would think that that's something that they would have picked up on.
Yeah, you think they would have. Like, I know that they welded a lot of sewer caps shut. They mentioned that when they were closing the Cordon off at the very beginning. So maybe they have taken the precautions, but they just haven't really gone.
The thing is, they welded them from the outside, not the inside.
mean, if you wanted to weld them from the inside, you'd have to be on the inside, and they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
They really wouldn't have to weld much. I mean, manhole covers are heavy enough as it is. Just a couple of spot welds to keep it on there. No one is really going to have the pushing force while climbing a ladder to open those up.
That's true.
Yeah.
I could use my back.
Even then.
I think I can get it open if I had to.
If it wasn't welded easily, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So, but the point is, they can still get them open from the inside. All it takes is a pry bar, crowbar, anything like that in the right vicinity. You just stick it in the round circular hole, one of those small, not in the edge. You stick it in the hole in the middle, and you can get it up really easy. You could pull off not even a sewer cover. You could pull off a grate, where water and stuff goes into the side, and you get in through that way. But yeah, the immediate area of the Cordon, like the sewer tunnels, the access right around it, but you could just keep going. Go over, if you had to, go over 2 towns and come out.
You could, yeah.
So unless the sewers down there are all gridlocked with gates with locks and everything underground, which is a possibility, because I know some places do that. Who knows? I don't know.
It's so they can stop the Ninja Turtles.
That's exactly why. They don't want another mutagen incident.
No.
So, that's our show. Mike, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, there, at Philidon.
Excellent.
Ooh, close.
Nikki, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter, at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
And you can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. And you can find us all and more on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter. Excuse me. And right here on YouTube at /ASOTV Podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, games, and movies. Until 2 weeks from now.
Indeed.
See you guys later.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna go climb through the sewers right now.
Have fun with that.